Hello, I'm Kat,
And I'm Kaelin.
and this is No
No
Baddies Left
Baddies Left
Behind.
Behind.
I hope that was together. It sounded like we did it at the same time. Am I wrong?
Oh, mine didn't sound together.
Whatever. Anyways,
I love that we're both just in comfy, cozy
yes. You know
clothes.
what? Kaylin and I have been trying to make it an effort that if you're watching the video version of this, that we are matching. But this wasn't planned today. This wasn't planned today for us both to be wearing, our hoodies. But here we are. We're
Yes.
vibing. I think this isn't the well, this is technically the last episode of Love Club before the closeout, like a February wrap up. But yes, this is the last Love Club episode. And take it away, Queen. What are we going to talk about?
We thought it would be a good idea to talk about today relationships, especially for people who are in your 20s, around our age, just because we both feel like the game has
Yep.
changed. It's a lot different than how things used to be. Um,
Yep. Talking about navigating dating,
I'm
single
blanking.
life.
I'm blanking.
Not so much casual hookups, but just date. Because, like you said, dating now is way more different, like mentality wise. Because, like we mentioned in the first episode, I'm 26, Kaylin is 24.
Mhm.
Yeah. But mentally, we're there together. So that's not even a thing. But it's just, we're entering a different era of our lives where dating just has a different meaning and it's just not what it was before. So that's what we're going to talk about and get into.
Let's just start with red flags. So I feel like that's something that's talked about a lot, especially on social
Yeah.
media. You always see those videos people make of red flags in relationships, or even like the
Yeah.
icks, like when people get an ick from a date or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Uh, Red flags are talked about a lot, but I feel like what's not as talked about is recognizing the red
Yes.
flags and kind of
When it's
realizing in the
happening.
moment what those red flags are. I think it's a lot of it has to do with you are so much in that honeymoon phase. You're so just that puppy love. You're just so in love that you see those red flags, but they're not registering for
No.
you. You're not realizing that this is something that's wrong or that they shouldn't be doing or that could lead to bigger problems later on down the
Mm-hmm.
road.
And I kind of feel like red flags and icks are so borderline made fun of. It's not actually,
Mhm.
I feel on TikTok, especially on TikTok, it's just taken out the meaning, the real meaning behind it. You know what I mean? Because I listened
Mhm.
to what is I forgot the name of his podcast, the Vile Files. Have you listened to him? I'm sure you've seen
Mm.
him, but
Mhm.
it was so funny when they were explaining icks, and icks are basically just I forgot what they said, like a chemical in your brain just genuinely makes you disgusted. That's an ick, which I felt that was a really good way to put it versus a red flag, which is a non-negotiable, which is something that you just would not put up
Mhm.
with. And I feel like on TikTok and social media, it just talked about so much that it's just so then what is an ick versus a red flag? And what because icks are icks for some people are non-negotiables, but are they really? You know? What are some of yours?
I feel like we're also pretty guilty of making fun of icks also. There is a certain kind of fun in making videos like that and making fun of it a little bit like that. But
Yeah.
those lines, and we're
And
back.
we're back. But red flags,
um
icks.
Red flags. I From my own experience, I had situations where the guy that I was talking to had asked to see like my banking information. He wanted to see how much money I
What?
had in my bank account, and he wanted me to open up my banking app in front of him so he could see. Or I've had we were talking for maybe like a week, not even a week, a couple days, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. right away,
Mm.
right away, right away. And for the next 3.5 weeks, he kept asking me, and I just kept saying no, no, like it's too early. We don't know anything about each other, you know what I mean? And so, those are my own experiences. I think the banking one specifically was a really big one that I chose to overlook in the moment. I thought it was weird, but whatever. Everyone has their own kind of deal with when
But
it
did you
comes to
do it?
finances.
Oh,
No.
good. Okay, I was gonna
I
say.
just
Whoa.
yeah, no, I just laughed it off. I just laughed it off. I was like, "Oh, haha," like
Wait, Queen, we can
change
cut
the
it out, but who was
subject.
that? Oh my.
No, you want to know? Asked me to be his girlfriend the day we started talking. He asked me to be his girlfriend 4 days in. He asked me to be his girlfriend the second week in, and then the third week in. And I kept saying no. And he was
Being
just like, I just don't
persistent.
understand. I don't know. Yeah. And then he also, the day that we became official, he went into my phone, changed my password. So it was something that he knew too. So like he didn't ask me what my password was. He changed my password like to my phone, and he added his face for the Face ID, and then went into my phone and deleted all my dating apps. Not that I wouldn't have deleted them,
Right.
period, as soon as we were
Right.
official, or even like when we were exclusive. It wasn't like I was talking to anyone on there. Um, but yeah, just the fact that he felt the right to go in and change my password
Totally.
and take it upon himself to delete my apps, like
Yes.
I just feel like was going a little bit too far. But those were some pretty big ones that I had chose to overlook. I thought they were odd, but I just thought, everyone kind of has their own
Wait, Queen, would you say that that
quirks.
was a red flag or an ick?
I think the banking thing, and I think going into my phone and changing my password, definitely red
Okay,
flags.
great.
I think asking me to be his girlfriend so early on, an ick.
Okay, I think we're on the same page. However, I will say,
Hmm.
I want to add because before I remember I always talk about this. When I was in high school, I always used to think, oh my gosh, how could you be someone's girlfriend after just talking for a month or 2 weeks? I mean, 2 weeks is still fairly early, but I feel like, you know what? If you're vibing and it's mutual, I think it's okay because well, for me, if I started dating now, being 26 years old, I'm not going to waste time. If you want, if you know that you want me to be your girlfriend, let's talk about it in the beginning because then there is no wasted time. If you're talking to multiple people, let me know which, we said we would talk about, but I feel like that's okay. It's as long as it's reciprocated. But if you're not respecting the fact that I said no the first time, take it how it is. Read the room.
Yeah. I don't know. I see it as if you say yes right away, you're kind of putting all your eggs into one basket
Okay.
when you don't really know much about this
Right.
person. Or in my situation, we were friends first, but again, we only hung out in group settings. We never hung out alone, just the two of us. So what did I really know about him?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when somebody asks you to be official that early on so quickly, what do I know about you? What if what I learn about you in the next 2 weeks I don't vibe with? And now we're official. Now I've gotten myself into, a bigger situation than it needed to be, rather than waiting those couple weeks and then like just feeling it out, learning more about each other and getting more comfortable with each other and then taking it to that next step. But I do see where you're coming from. But I feel like it's better that way is better if you know each other first, or
Yeah.
if you're friends
Mm-hmm.
first, or if you kind of have a basic understanding of what kind of person they are before then.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I feel like, and I think this is a good way to lead into kind of what you expect when you're when you're pursuing a new relationship and having communication like that, and being comfortable enough to have conversations about when you should be official, when you should start being exclusive, when do you cut off your roster, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
I just think taking it
I don't know.
slow, like you said, it shouldn't have
Yeah.
to. And I feel like if you are feeling as if we got to slow down, there's some flags there. If you're feeling the need to say, let's slow down, because are you
Mm-hmm.
scared? Is there something about the person that you don't want to take it the full way, or you're just unsure? That's where
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit iffy territory versus if you just know that this person, and I think it's possible for somebody to be so head over heels for somebody and they just know and then it's mutual, okay. But if there is any kind of reluctancy, I think that's a flag in itself, no matter what the situation is. They can be a really great person, but is there a flag in you that I'm just not ready, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
like you said,
And something that I saw, it was in a TikTok video. I get all my information from
yes.
TikTok. What's new? But they were talking about red flags, and they were talking about sometimes you may not be able to see them. Sometimes you just subconsciously overlook them and realize it later
Mm-hmm.
on, but your body will always know. Your body will have a physical reaction to it. So if you're getting ready to go out on a date with somebody and you're feeling sick to your stomach and not, the butterflies, I'm excited, nervous kind of sick, like you're feeling dread, you're feeling sick, but it feels just like nerves, like you just got to shake it off. That is your body telling you that something is not right there,
Mm-hmm. Trying to warn you.
which I thought was yeah, which I thought was just an interesting take on that. I never heard anyone talk about it like
Yeah.
that
I feel like
before.
it's also subconsciously, it's your intuition trying to communicate with your body
Mhm.
to tell you, like,
Yeah.
pump the brakes, like, stop moving so quick,
Mhm.
you know? But
Yeah.
it is a little confusing. I saw somewhere else, like beige flags. That's something that I don't
Mm.
really understand the concept of, but I just think if you're not ready, you'll know. And if there is any part of you that doubts taking those steps forward, you'll know. You'll know. I just think that sometimes when it comes to a person in our heads, we think that we should like this person or we should. That's just the word, the keyword should feel certain types of feelings for somebody is where we get where there's a conflict versus knowing. Do you know that
Mhm.
you're feeling nervous? Do you know that I should not be scared? I should not be nervous to go out on this date. Knowing versus assuming, that's where people teeter. It's like, whatever, I'm just gonna go for it. And then when you ignore
Mhm.
it, I feel the people I feel like don't do this as often. I feel like you have to be really in tune with your emotions and your thoughts and your thought process. That if you go and you just ignore the fact that you were telling yourself don't go, and you're just like, I'll just get it. We'll see how it goes. Chances are you did not like it. Chances are it did not work out.
Mhm.
And it was if you had just listened to yourself. But it's hard, right? It's what if you had a great time, you know? But I
Yeah.
think flags are flags. And no matter what, that's
Mhm.
your body and your mind and your heart trying to work together to communicate to you. So I like
Mhm.
that you should send me that TikTok, girl. Send me that TikTok, girl. But you know what I do want to bring up
I have
though?
to find it.
I
Mhm.
feel like in my last relationship, that's exactly what it was. He was such a good guy. And I love him, as a friend, as a person. I think he is just such a great guy with great beliefs and morals. That's where we really aligned. But so much flags. I'm not going to get
Mhm.
exactly into why we stopped dating, just because, I don't want to throw any digs at him. But it's just that I wasn't ready. And there was absolutely
Mhm.
nothing wrong with him. You know,
Mhm.
I mean,
Do you think that because it seemed to work so well on paper, that that is what pushed you? to really try to pursue things and make things work with
Yeah,
him,
totally.
because on paper he was such a great
Totally.
guy.
And he was doing all the things that my ex was not doing. He was taking me out. He was giving me gifts. His love language was touch. And we've talked about this before where my first boyfriend I don't know if he just didn't like to touch me or if that's just not his love language, but that was my love language. I wanted to hold hands. I wanted to cuddle. I wanted to experience that. I remember being a teenager and just seeing all these tweets. Oh, I love cuddling, or just seeing, I don't know if you've seen like the relationship tweets or whatever back then. I always wanted to experience that, but my ex did not like doing that with me. And so I did not like doing that with my most recent ex boyfriend because I felt like I was bothering him. And so, but that was his love language. So I was just in my head, I was just telling myself, he's giving you what you want. Literally, the material things, the physical things. And he was my type from what, I was into, or I'm still into. He is my type to a T, but it's just that too many flags in me because I was not ready. I am, even till now, and I think we talked about this in an episode. I don't know if that ever is going to go up or if it's just a scrap, but you asked me, like, would you ever date him again? Because if there was no red flags, then would you ever date him again? But no. And I think that I'm respecting myself now to just take that no, because I'm not going to waste his time. I'm not going to waste my time. And I think that's just the most mature thing to do. And really, we just weren't on the same page with life. And I still even think till now we're not. But on paper, he was an amazing man. He's a nurturing guy, the most nurturing man I've ever met in my life. Just again, we're so alike in the same way. He
Period.
was
Yeah.
my type, but there's just nothing, too many flags in me telling me that I'm not ready, even though on paper he's an amazing guy. And
Mm-hmm.
and I hate myself for it, but I've learned to forgive myself because what can you do? Date someone that you don't fully love?
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like nowadays it's such a
Speaking of,
no. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl.
no,
Oh, okay,
keep
okay.
going on the
Sorry.
point.
I just feel like on TikTok, and well, I hate to base everything off of TikTok, but it's just that. Have you seen that TikTok where it's like, he's a good man, Savannah? Have you seen that one? That's
Mm-hmm.
what my conscience kept telling me. He's a good man. He's a good man, and he is your type. He is what you have been waiting for.
But what's good for you on paper is not always what's good for you.
Like your heart.
What looks good on paper is not always what's good for
No.
you.
And I
Yeah.
feel like I was so
But
guilty about it.
yeah.
Speaking of, speaking of,
But speaking of respect and the respect that you have for him, to not go back into that situation again, did you have a conversation about that with him? Like, did he ever ask you, like, did you guys ever take it there? Like, did he ever ask you, would you consider doing this again?
yeah, it got to the point where he was just so persistent, and I didn't, I threatened him, but I was like, listen, I'm not going to say this again, then I'm not going to do this again. And this is not only for the sake of me, but it's for the sake of you, Because I felt like he just
Mm-hmm.
also was like losing his self respect by keep pestering me, by wanting to stay together. That it was almost like, have
Mm-hmm.
some self respect for you. Because I know that if this was somebody else, you would have just pieced out, But
Mm-hmm.
it did go there for sure.
I know. Okay, so back when I was like very big in my dating app era and phase of my life, I was very big on ghosting
Mm-hmm.
people. Now that I've grown and I'm a little bit older, I realize the error of my ways. I feel horribly about it, but I have this respect now for when somebody is very clear about the things that they want or things that they're looking for when it comes to relationships. And I have respect for them when they clearly communicate that rather than leading me on. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I think that kind of helps put my mind at ease. Like, it's okay. You know, like, it's okay that you don't want to talk to me. It's okay that you're not into this anymore. It's okay that you're not interested. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me now rather than waiting, you know, a couple weeks until it got really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Thank you for having this uncomfortable conversation with me now before it gets further in, before I get more attached, before I get more
Yeah.
invested. But some people don't like that. Some people don't, you know, like hearing that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not so much about you and that you're not good enough. I think it's more so just about they're not in a place in their life right now to pursue things with you, or maybe they're just not feeling you in that way, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't control necessarily how you feel about
Yep.
people or the way that you connect with people, and you can't be upset with somebody for not feeling the same way that you do and not reciprocating those same
Yep.
feelings that you have. But it's nice to know that they'll have that uncomfortable conversation with you because they respect you enough to not lead you on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We just talked about this off the phone or off here, but before when I was a teenager, I had no respect for the other person. I wanted to see the ending how I wanted to see it. If it didn't play out the way that I wanted it to, I wouldn't respect the other person's boundary. I would just be like, why do you want to break up with me? Why is this not working? Tell me. Tell me now. I will call you 50 times until you tell me. But first, you're not only disrespecting yourself, you're making yourself look like a fool, you know? And, but when you mature, like you said, it's so much more, oh, okay. I'll, I'll back up. I'll let you have your moment. I'm sorry if you felt as if I was, overbearing, or if you need this space, I totally respect you. I think it takes a level of maturity too to realize that. And self-respect is a huge one, because if you don't have any self-respect or maturity, you're not going to see what's wrong with bombarding them and forcing them to see it your way, you know?
I think it's also an ego thing
Yeah,
too.
big ego.
It's hard to put your pride aside and put your ego aside and accept that this person may
Not
not
you.
like you.
And it takes a hit, especially if you thought that it was working
Mm-hmm.
out in the way that you
For
wanted it to,
sure.
or it was going so well. What
Yeah.
happened? You could at least tell me, please.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes, and we talked about
For
that before too,
sure.
where you know what? Somebody breaking up with you, they will not break up with you in the way that you feel you should have been broken up with. They do not owe that to you. They don't. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's where people go wrong. Well, I was so nice to him. I was so perfect to him, and this is how he treats me. I just feel like you gotta control the controllable. And in that situation, it's your emotions, it's your self image.
That was something that I worked on a lot in therapy, was controlling the way that you react to certain situations, because you can't control what somebody else says. You can't control what somebody else does, the way that they speak to you. You have no
Nope.
control over that. The only thing you have control over is your reaction to it,
Mm-hmm.
how you receive it, and how you respond to it. That is all you have control over.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a little bit of power in knowing that you have good emotional control when you can respond to a
Yes.
situation a little bit more logically, but still with that compassion and empathy for that other person.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some non-negotiables that you have? I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before. I have a list.
I
I've
don't
seen it.
have
I saw a
one.
psychic. Okay, I saw a psychic, and I have this list of what I'm looking for in my next partner or in my next relationship. And I titled it The Unrealistic Bar because to me, a lot of the things on there are very unrealistic. And then I met with the psychic, and we were talking about my love life and relationships, and she told me that my soulmate will check off every single thing on my
I was just
list.
gonna say
And I was like,
unrealistic. I don't think that's a thing anymore. I totally think that if it's something that you want, somebody will check off that box, you know? Totally not
Mm-hmm.
unrealistic. I think it's totally realistic, bitch. I think it is.
You have to make a
I know,
list.
but you know what? I saw TikTok in like 2020, okay, years ago, and this lady was just like, make a list of things that you want in a person. And I did. It's in a drawer somewhere because I kept it because I was just like, I wonder if the man who I'm going to be with for the rest of my life is going to match and check off every box of that. However, I was very nitty gritty with those non negotiables. And listen, I just don't know how realistic. It was so specific because she said, like, make it so specific to one. Because I feel like that does mold into a person. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
settle if you make it that specific. And I did. But I don't know. I'm really going to sit on that one. What are some non negotiables or what's on your list? I'm actually really curious. Your unrealistic bar.
Should I pull it up?
Yeah. Yes.
Let me pull it up.
But I do have one. While you're pulling that up, I have one non negotiable. No, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to. Who I love is who I love. But specifically, if you are a tall, handsome Polynesian man, listen, I am very single, okay? And where are they at? I've not seen a cute Samoan, Tongan, nowhere. Not even in Long Beach. Where y'all at? Where are you at?
They're hiding.
They
They
are.
are also working on themselves.
Yes. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Let's see. Actually, okay, you know what? Now that I'm reading some of
Yeah,
these,
if you don't feel
they're
comfortable.
they're they're not unrealistic. I
Oh.
think my bar was just so low that I thought at the
Ouch.
time when I wrote this that
Ouch.
they were
Bitch.
unrealistic. No, but they're actually not like um let me see here.
Opens the door for me.
Um
That's my real.
that too.
No
I have
way.
a mix of like things that they would do but also like personality traits. So I have like he's patient, he's
Yes.
family oriented, he
Mhm.
gets along with my family. He's good with kids. He has to have like a calming energy.
Yep.
Let me see. Will be confident but not cocky because I feel like there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and it's really easy to kind of walk that line and cross over.
Yep.
And once you cross over, there is no coming
No.
back
There's no change in that
from
image.
arrogance. But I have here like holds open my door, opens my car door.
It's
Um,
a good reminder. It's not that you're just.
is healed from his past
Ooh,
traumas.
that's a big one.
Who doesn't lash out when I get upset, or who doesn't lash out when he gets upset.
Period.
Mm, communicates his feelings and needs in a healthy way. There's more, but those are like the pretty big ones. And then there's big ones that I made this list after I got out of my last relationship. And so there are ones on here that
Or
like
specific.
should be basic common
Oh, can
decency,
you say one?
common courtesy. Um will listen when I say no, or who
Ugh.
would never put his hand on me in an aggressive way.
Hmm.
Who doesn't make me feel gaslit when
But you know
arguing.
what, Queen? I will say. I know you said that
Mhm.
you thought your bar was that low. I just think now it's a good sign that you are looking back and you're telling yourself, my bar was so low. That is such a good green flag that you're able to see that
Mhm.
that was the bare minimum. Because you know what? Maybe
Mhm.
when you were making that list, you were so far removed that you didn't even realize that that was just the bare minimum, you know?
Mhm.
So that's
And
growth.
something
That's on
else
growth.
too.
That's on
Yeah.
growth.
Something else too that I have grown to be really proud of is standing firm in my boundaries and really putting my foot down when somebody tries to push them. I feel like when it comes to things like with friends, we talked about this in one of the past episodes where I'll go home at the end of the night because I want to take my makeup off. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Those ones are a little bit easier for me because I feel like you guys understand
Yes.
where I'm coming
Hmm.
from. It's not that I don't want to continue hanging out with you guys. It's just that I want to go home and take my makeup
Yeah.
off, you know, and put my pajamas on and be comfy and cozy. But when it comes to relationships, I think I've always in the past had a really hard time with staying firm in my boundaries. And in therapy, this is more related to trauma that I went through in my past relationship, but she had asked me, do I worry that I won't be able to say no when it comes down to whatever situation? And it's not that I'm not afraid that I won't be able to say no. It's more so that I feel like I won't be heard or listened to. I feel like my no will be ignored and looked past. Then what do I do? Then what do I do when I'm no, 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 and they keep pushing my boundary? You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
only so many ways you can say no. And I feel like I just had an experience with that recently where I kept saying no and I was very firm in my boundary and I felt obligated to give him a reason as to why that is my boundary, why I'm saying no. When in reality, at the end of the day, I don't owe anyone an explanation for the reason I do certain things or the way that I do certain things. I'm not obligated to to explain to anyone
Nope.
why I am the way that I am. You know what I mean? But at the end of that interaction, I felt in that moment obligated to
Explain yourself.
basically trauma dump on
Mm.
him as
Oh,
for the
shit.
reasoning as to why that was my boundary
Yeah.
because he just wasn't getting it. He wasn't understanding and no, it didn't matter how many times I said no. It didn't matter how many ways I said no. You know, he just kept pushing. And I don't know if he thought that I was joking around, but it had just gotten to a point where I was like, I don't know how else to explain to
Do you
you.
want me to be
No.
nice? This is me being
Yeah.
nice now. Okay. Before it gets
Yeah.
ugly.
And so I feel like a good, piece of advice is from that, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You
No.
don't owe anybody a reasoning. You are entitled to do things the way that you feel comfortable. You're entitled to have boundaries that other people don't always have to
Yeah.
understand because they're not for other people to understand.
Yeah.
They're for your feelings of safety and comfort
Mm-hmm.
and whatever those boundaries may be. It's okay to stay firm in them and not give anybody a reasoning as to why they are in place.
You know what's funny? I feel like that ties back into what I said earlier, in that if someone is talking to you and you guys are on this great path and he all of a sudden drops the ball, he felt that, you know what, I don't need to explain myself. I don't want to be with you. And I don't need to explain myself. That was him standing firm in
Mm-hmm.
his boundaries. So you stand firm in yours, and in your self-respect is just stand down and just, okay, dude, do whatever you want. On to the next. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have had so many conversations. I have had so many breakdowns with Kaelin on the phone, literally crying. And once you just learn to not try to control, and this is anything in life, this is besides love, if you just stop trying to control the situation and just let go of what you cannot control, that changes your life entirely with anything that you deal with. If you could not control that outcome, oh well. If you played in your head over and over and over again, could I have controlled it? Could the outcome have been different? With keeping my self respect? Like, probably not, right? So it's just let
Mm-hmm.
go of what you cannot control and let that be that. Your life will be all of a sudden so much less stressful if you just let the things you cannot control go. I cannot stand by that enough. It's like the let them theory, how that was going around on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, let
Yeah.
them. Let them. Go do whatever. It's so stress
Yeah.
free if you just let them. The fuck?
Mm-hmm.
within reason, right?
For
Within reason.
sure.
But I don't know.
For sure. And I feel like along with that, with, everything we just talked about, your non-negotiables, your boundaries, I feel like oftentimes, especially when people get to a certain age, when they meet somebody, they oftentimes tend to settle.
Mhm.
Do you think it's ever okay to settle?
Absolutely not. Never, ever, ever, never, never, never. Nope. Hell no.
Do you think sometimes do you think sometimes settling can be misunderstood as compromising?
Yes. Oh, I love that you brought that up because you know what? I have said this before. Okay. I've had so many family members be like, when I was young, when I was a teenager, oh, you're not going to find the perfect guy. You're going to have to compromise somewhere. Absolutely not.
Mhm.
Will it take time to find that right person? Then yes, it took you that right timing to meet this person that was meant for you rather than, I guess I'll let them in. I guess I'll give them a chance. You're not only, first of all, I have seen it so many times where when you give somebody a chance, where you settled, okay, you brought down your standards to be with this person. They're gonna do you dirty. They're gonna do you dirty because you let yourself down. You let down your own standards by letting somebody in when they shouldn't even have been in your house to begin with. Because once you let them in, they'll take advantage of you. You know, they'll think
Mhm.
that her standard. Once you let down your standards, all of a sudden you forget what your standards were because you let this person come in when you were just like, I guess it's okay. Oh, so then I guess it's okay he didn't open my door. I guess it's okay he didn't pay for this one dinner. I guess it's okay that he did not respect that what I shared with him, my emotions. You know, it's a tumbling or what's the domino effect. Sorry, I got
Mhm.
really passionate about that one, but shit, I cannot. That's something I cannot stress enough. Never settle. Never.
No, it's a good one. It's a good one because you're right. It is a domino effect. Because if you're gonna let certain things continue on, you're gonna compromise on these things. At what point does it stop?
Yep.
At what point do you stop compromising?
One is enough
And
going to
then
be
at that
enough.
point, right? And then at that point, they're gonna be so used to you compromising that they're gonna be like, "What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I don't know.
But I like the way that you put that. I think that's a good way.
And
Good
really,
way to put that.
before I remember compromise, and even I remember in my history class when I was a junior in high school, we went over compromise. Okay, you compromise when it comes to a place that you want to eat at. You compromise when it's who's sharing the aux when you're in the car. You compromise what you want to go do on the weekend, not not your standards. Absolutely not. If he was not the man that you're like, yes, I want to be with him, and I know I do, then it's a no. Then it's a no to begin with.
Mhm.
Because even,
My big thing is if you're not proud to be with them, then you're not supposed to be with them.
damn, damn. Okay, Queen. You know, I will share this
Yeah.
one story. I remember I had just started dating after my very first breakup, and he was an elementary school friend. Okay, it was a good trope. It's a good trope, and I mean, treated me like I was walking on water, dude. I mean, send this man a selfie on Snapchat. And Snapchat was a thing at the time. Okay, it was the rage at the time, but send him a selfie on Snapchat. Praise, praise. He was so good at that. But I genuinely felt like I was settling. I didn't even let this man kiss me. I was like, hell no, I can't. I can't do it. I don't know why. I can't do it. And really, I remember I was just like, if I just give myself time, maybe if I go out with him more times, I'll learn to love him. I'll learn to really like him. Never worked. Never worked. If anything, it made it worse when you try to settle or try to find the compromise by settling. Never works.
Mhm.
If anything, it makes you just feel shitty. It makes you feel shit like you
Yeah.
just can't get anything better than that. You know, I think that's what it is. As soon as you start settling, you just think that you can't get better. That's why people settle.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
well, that's not true.
For sure.
But it's not true at all. But I don't know. I don't know. Who likes rejection though? Who wants to be alone?
Nobody.
Me. 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 Me.
Nor. I truly genuinely believe, and it may sound very naive, but I, to my heart and soul, even after all the heartbreak and pain and trauma and whatever, I still believe this, that there is somebody out there for everybody.
Where is he?
There is
Where is he,
there is somebody
Kaelin?
out there for everybody.
Yeah, totally.
It's
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
matter of, finding them. And who knows, maybe you've come across your person already. Maybe you've met your person already and you just don't know it. And it's the timing's just not right and they're not meant to be in your life right now. Maybe you have things that you need to work on before, it's your time to be with them.
I mean,
I always think about it like that. Like, they're just not meant to be in my life right now. I'm meant to be alone
yes.
right now. And I remember even last year we were having this conversation where I was like, I just feel like, I'm kind of in my prime. Like, this is the time for me to be
Mm-hmm.
alone, live alone, go travel alone, go out to eat alone, and just enjoy my life in the comfort of my own company. And I can't do that when I'm in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, there are people out there who can do that. There are people out there who can grow and in a relationship and grow together. But I just think I'm not meant for that. I'm not cut
I
out
don't
for
think a
that.
lot of people are,
Not to say
dude.
that,
I don't know. I don't know if anybody
right.
can.
Not to say that
It's not possible.
I wouldn't. Right. Not to say that if I got into a relationship that I couldn't grow, that I would be capped out where I
Yeah.
am. But I think it was hard for me, especially in that last relationship. I think it was hard for me. But I think with the right person, you can do that. With the right
Yeah.
person,
I agree.
nothing
And I'm
is
I'm sure like, I've
impossible.
seen it before. I have friends who are amazing couples where they're just individually great people when they're together. I'm not saying like when they're not, they're terrible, but it's just that as a couple, they have grown through the years together. And it is possible
Hmm.
when, you have kept up the same standards, like nothing changed. There was no more settling, you just have met each other in the cross those boxes or cross off those boxes every time, you know? But I will
Hmm.
say, back to just like settling, I remember how you said you're meant to be alone right now. I remember when I was in high school, just when was I going to have a boyfriend? All of my friends have had boyfriends at this point. And I feel like when teenagers, especially when you're going through your adolescence, everybody wants to experience teenage love. Everybody. And so that's where people begin to settle. And that's where the self disrespect happens. And I remember I did that. I remember there were so many flags that I did not listen to by getting with my first boyfriend, but it was because I just did not think that anyone else was going to give me that chance, or I did not think that I was going to be able to fall as hard. I didn't think that I was going to be able to let down my walls for a person until I met him, you know?
Hmm.
And so, I mean, granted, if I didn't let that man in, I wouldn't have had my kids, but, you know, it's just that I remember telling myself, I was like, might as well. Let's just do it. He's physically
Hmm.
attractive to me. He's doing all those boxes. Let's just do it. If it's a let's just do it, fine, and not a hell yeah, don't do it. Just don't do it, queen. Just don't.
Do you also think, though, that there's a lot of, I don't know if it would be experience, but um, I guess
Hmm.
experience or like learning that comes from starting off younger at a younger age, as far as like if you were to, even if you did settle, like let's say with your first relationship, even if you did settle, I feel like we learned a lot from those first couple relationships that we had at a younger age. And I feel like at those ages, the way that we reacted to those situations was a little bit more acceptable because of the age that we were at. I know a couple people now who are just now having their first relationship ever at 23, 22, even like 26, 27,
Mm-hmm.
which there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. There is nothing wrong
No.
with waiting until you feel like you've met your person.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But do you think that because they haven't gone through certain kind of monumental things within a relationship, such as a breakup or such as dealing with communication with someone you're so close to, you know what I mean? Do you think that the way that they react now, how do I word
No,
this?
I
Because I
I
feel like
totally like I
sometimes
totally get
I'll
what
see
you
the
mean.
way that they react now, and
Yeah.
it's a little bit like,
A
oh,
little
I
like
wouldn't do
you're
that
acting a little
now, but
immature.
they don't
It's
know.
a little immature.
Yeah, but they don't realize
No.
it because
That's the first
it's
time they're
their
going through
first
it.
relationship, and yeah.
You know what? I'm not gonna call anybody out.
Oh no.
I Oh, okay. I do honestly. I feel like it's a hard. I don't think there's a yes or a no. I think there's a yes and no in some certain situations because I'm not going to call anybody out, okay? But I know people who have they're going through breakups now or they're going through oh, he's not trying right now or how come this isn't working out? How come it's like this when we're well into our 20s? And I think that it can be a little crippling. It can be a little bit, whoa, I can't function. But it's different because you know what? When I couldn't function, girl, I had a quiz in the next period. That's something to trip about. But if you cannot function and you're not going to work, that's your bag. That's your rent. That's your
Mm-hmm.
car. That's your phone. Like it's a different, and I mentioned this, well, not to you, but I feel like sometimes I'm 40, because I've been through so much at a young age, breakups, well, basically like a separation, but like it is not easy when you go through it when you're older. But also, did people have the opportunity to go through it young? You know, it just wasn't their timing to go
Mm-hmm.
through it young. I just feel like what you have gone through in your time, in your life, is exactly where it was supposed to happen. I feel like, yes, it is a little bit better for those who have gone through it younger because fuck that. Don't bother me. I'm going to go clock into work versus somebody who's,
Mm-hmm.
24, 25, first time going through it. They're not going to be able to function and they have this big girl degree, this big girl job. And then all of a sudden you just cannot function. And what about your apartment? What about cleaning your apartment? Like it's just, it starts to
Mm-hmm.
cross into that, into your life, into how you handle your friendships. That's where it starts to cross that boundary, which I feel like those people
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately do have an disadvantage, you know?
Mm-hmm. I do know someone like that who couldn't go into work because they were going through a breakup, and they ended up getting fired.
Oh shit. Oh my god, bitch. Let me just
And they felt like the company was in the wrong. And
No.
we were all like, yeah, we were all like, what do you expect? Do you think you're the first person to go through a breakup? I mean, we feel for
Yeah.
you. We feel for you, but be for
Yeah.
real.
They're going to find somebody else to fill that spot. Come on. And I will
Mhm.
say, I remember one time I was just going through it heavy, bitch. I feel like to this day it was just all the caffeine that I was drinking. But I remember clocking into work and just, I got to work and I told my coworker, me and her were really close though. We were really close. And I was just like, girl, I don't know what's wrong. I'm having an anxiety attack. And I was just in tears at work. At the time, I worked at Ulta. Okay, so thankfully I was around a whole bunch of other women, but like, girl, I was tripping. I had to go into my manager's office.
Mhm.
First of all, that's embarrassing. And then, what about your job? What about work? Like you said, they can let you go because of that.
Mhm.
Versus having that moment where you can just clock out or like clock into work, mentally clock in and clock out of what's
Mhm.
happening in your personal life. I feel like at an older age, when it's your first
Mhm.
time going through it, it's a little bit harder to do. You know,
For sure.
damn that was a good
For
one.
sure.
Shit, I don't know, but what do you think though? Do you think that it's like a disadvantage for people?
Um I think kind of same with you along the lines of yes and
Yeah.
no. Yes and no, because I think there are some advantages to going through it younger. Um, that just, you benefit from as you get
You just
older
don't put up
that
with
you
shit
wouldn't
now when you're
have.
older, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also, too, everything that we've already talked about in this episode, your boundaries, your list of non negotiables, recognizing the red flags and the green flags. How do you know how to do that if it's your first
Yeah.
time? You know? And I feel like going through it older, it's a little bit harder, especially if you go through things, that are a little bit more painful within a relationship and you're going through it with someone who you are not their first relationship and the way
Yeah.
that you react to certain
It's almost
things.
it's less excusable when you're older versus when
Mhm.
you're young.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's like you're a grown ass man. Be for real. But that's probably that man's
Right.
first real heartbreak. You know?
Yeah. For sure.
That's where
Yeah.
compassion comes in. And
Yeah.
realizing,
And
yeah.
empathy.
Because we've all been there. Maybe not all of us, but
Empathy.
empathy. Shout it out. Where's it from? OOTN.
Mayfair. Mayfair. Kentucky? No, just kidding. Tennessee. Some store in Tennessee.
Thanks, Mackenzie.
Mayfair
Uh,
jacket. Target pajama shorts.
period.
Target
But I
headphones.
forgot what I wanted to mention in that, like, I just, I can't, I forgot what I was going to say, but I wanted to bring up a point. I wanted to bring up a point
Mhm.
in that, um,
About being older.
oh yeah, like dating, being older. I want to ask you this question. This sits on my mind on a daily, okay? Do you think it's more top tier to date when you're older? Like when you're finding your one when you're older versus when you're young and like you marry your what's it, your high school sweetheart. Like where you're with somebody for years versus when you're ready to start seriously dating when you're almost, well, I'm in my mid 20s now, but in your later half, in the other half of your 20s, do you think that's a little bit more top tier or
I
hard?
think so. I think
A little bit of both. A
mm,
little bit of both.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think when you're doing things older, you kind of have a clearer picture of what it is that you want. I feel like when you're younger, you're still living with the dreams that you grew up with.
Yeah.
So, I dreamed of a life that looked like this. And so
Or
that's what
I
I
think
thought I
love is
wanted at the
supposed to
time. And
look like this.
yeah, right. And so now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, that's not really
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah.
Here is kind of here is what I now want or
And
expect
learn from.
out of my life, out of my partner. And so I think being older now, it's also a lot easier to kind of look for certain things while you're dating.
You can
Look
spot the
for certain
bullshit.
traits
You can
or
spot the bullshit.
yeah.
And I don't know.
Mhm.
I again, I'm not gonna call anybody out, okay? But I just think that dating older so much better. However, is it hard? Yes, because you know what? Sometimes I do get worried when I'm talking to, if I talk to a man, right? And he's still not over his ex of 4 years. Because at this age, a lot of us have already had our first loves, our first relationships, or our first long term relationship. And so it's kind of hard to recover from that. It's kind of hard to move forward from that. I'm not saying it's impossible. Okay. I'm just saying that it's hard to, it's a really mature and elaborate thing to learn from that experience and to move forward from a long-term relationship. But that's the tricky part about dating older. It's that a lot of us have already had that, you know? And I cannot
Mhm.
believe I am that bitch now that's like, I got kids, So it's when somebody dates me, I immediately need to look at them as, are they a good partner? In your list, when you said, is he good with kids? Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. Bumble guy, from the last episode, he sits on my mind rent free. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes, not rent free, okay, like month to month lease. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I cannot see that man with kids. That's immediately what stops me. And also, he has a girlfriend. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just thinking about the situation at hand. But like, if I cannot see a man good with kids, it's out. You know. And I feel like sometimes when you're older, that's something you can
Mm-hmm.
spot a lot quicker. You know exactly what you need versus like, bye, I'm not putting up with that shit, or I'm not gonna have to ask you. You know. But that's the hard thing about
Mm-hmm.
dating older. It's that a lot of us have gone through a lot. Like a lot of us are seasoned and you know, we're just a little damaged. We're learning to fix up and patch up those things. But I think when you think about it, it's character.
Or my favorite quote, we all survive something, but you don't have to be so damn sad doing it. Period.
I'm not going to actually drop the
Period.
mic, but that was a drop the mic situation right there, bitch. Woo! That was good. You don't have to be so damn sad doing it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I liked
Mm-hmm.
that. But I don't know. I just, do you,
Georgia rule.
oh, ooh. That, that movie is twisted. That movie is so sad to me. I love Lindsay though.
Yeah.
But you know what, Queen? I will say,
Mm-hmm.
and I will admit to you, even though I do feel like it's a little bit more of a top tier experience dating older, blah, 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 I sometimes feel hopeless. I'm not going to lie. I have definitely thrown in the towel. And I think that at this point in my life, a relationship is not what I look for. And someone asked me, like, do you think your soulmate is living? And I'm like, exists. And I'm like, listen, maybe in a different lifetime. But I don't know. Maybe it's better if I'm like, you know what? The best love happens spontaneously. And I feel like when you start looking for love, you're gonna find it in the wrong place because you're like trying to find it. You're looking so hard, you're squinting so hard that you're trying to like look past everything to find it. And then that's when you're pushing aside your standards, you know, but I don't know. I just sometimes I feel like, does he exist? Is he real?
I think, when you are looking for something or expecting something, I feel like that's most often when you start to settle,
Okay.
because you're looking so much for something that it's like, oh, like when you look at something for too long and it starts looking
Mm-hmm.
different. I feel like kind of like that about when you're specifically looking for your person. I do think that, like I said, there is someone out there for everyone. I think everyone is meant to be with someone. I think it's just a matter of finding them. But I think if they are truly meant to be in your life, they will eventually, whether that be when you're 80 years old or
Don't
now.
say
You
that.
know what I mean?
Don't say
But
80.
I also, I know people who are kind of have the same mindset. They're worried that they're never gonna, find their person. But also at the end of the day, is that going to stop you from living your life? Is finding your person going to be the end all be all to you being happy and living a fulfilled
That's a
life?
misconception I
You
think
know what I
happens all the
mean?
time. It's just because you
Yeah, and I think sorry, go ahead.
I just think that sometimes when they're not in love with somebody or they're not in a relationship, that's the one thing that's my aspiration in life is to find and be with my
Mhm.
husband. Bitch, is that it?
I think, it can lead to a lot of things that could
Yeah,
make you
for
happy,
sure.
having a family or, having a companion. But why can I not find that in my friends?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, not necessarily having kids. It's not like I'm gonna go have kids with you or
Bitch.
Ari or you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna go have kids with you. But why I can find companionship within our friendship, and that for
Hmm.
me right now is good
Yeah.
enough. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I feel like when you go out and live your life, everyone talks about wanting to meet people organically. I get it. But I think it's always kind of on the back burner in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's always kind of something that you know is there, that you're not necessarily consciously thinking of, but you know it's there. You want it to happen. You're trying to manifest it to happen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think when you start living your life for you, when you start doing things that fulfill you, that you feel like is your purpose, that's when it'll happen. Because at that point, your person is now adding to your life. They're not someone that you have to change for.
Mm-hmm.
They're not someone that you have to adjust your life for. They are somebody who's going to support you and uplift you and add peace to your
Amen.
life. And I feel like a lot of people live the other way, where it is on the back burner of your mind and you are kind of somewhat thinking of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have thoughts every now and then of, when am I going to find my person? Why do I have to go through all these terrible
Yeah.
things before that
Yeah.
happens? Why can't I just know him
Mm-hmm.
already, when there are so many people out there who have their high school sweethearts or who are in love? Why can't I have that? Don't get me wrong, I've had thoughts like that
Mm-hmm.
also. But also too, do I want to continue to live my life for somebody else, live my life to find this one
Mm-hmm.
person? No, because I'm not happy. I am not happy
You
doing
know, I
that.
was
You know
telling
what
my
I mean?
cousin, he's like, I just want to find the one. I'm like, dude, you are 18. Oh, do you have things to go through life? You should not be talking to one girl. You should be talking to like three of them. Okay, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
I know those like those family members of mine that were like that when I was younger, and I was just like, no, I'm gonna talk to one guy at a time. I'm not a hoe. Da 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 da. No, okay. If you are not having the opportunity to date and to see what you want in your life, you're never gonna know what it is that you want because you never had the chance. And
Mm-hmm.
really, Queen. So okay, as a backstory, okay, Kaylin and I have known each other for what, two
I
push
said
like two
2 years.
years, 2 years
Mm-hmm.
now, pushing 2 years now. And before then, I've always been that one single friend. I've always been that one single friend. And I will say, like, I used to be worried when I was younger, but I've come to the fact now, yeah, like you said, I think about it. Does he exist? Sometimes. But it's just that, like you said, if you know what, when I have with my kids, I got kids, dude. I think I can tap out right now. You know, like I can. It's not really something that is what I want anymore either. I don't know if I've just been through it badly. You know, if I was traumatized like that hard, that I don't know if I still want a boyfriend. But I don't know. I just don't see myself in a relationship either, though. I just really, it's hard. You know, there was this guy. I hate. Okay, I know some people cringe and they're like, "Oh my god, they was just talking about signs," but like every Sagittarius that you probably know, or ask your one friend that is single, who has always been single for years. She is probably a Sagittarius. She probably is. Okay? There's me. There's Ari. Our friend Ari is a Sagittarius. Like, I don't know if you watched Tila Dunn. Single. Okay? I every Sagittarius that I know is just single. And then there's this guy on TikTok who was like, it's not that I need an option. It's just that it takes a long time for me to fall for somebody and to completely let those guards down. Not that you need to let down a guard, but it's just that, you know, I I'm not going to fall hard until I feel like it's the one. He's the one, you know? But I don't know. I don't know, Queen. But like I said in the last episode, you never know, bitch. I might be booed up. I might be booed up this year.
2024 is your year.
Right? Okay, I want to ask, okay, let's answer this for each other. Who do we see each other with? What kind of guy? I got to think on that one for a second. Hold on. I got to think on that one for a second.
Okay, I'll go first. I see you. I see you with a Polynesian
Yes!
man, definitely.
Please, Lord.
Someone who's taller, maybe like 6 feet, 6'1". He has tattoos, dark features, so like dark hair, darker eyes. Someone who is calm and who can really take a step back and kind of think logically about situations. Someone who's patient, someone
She
who,
said someone that thinks logically because I'm such an impulsive person. I am so impulsive. I cannot.
yeah, I think your person will balance you out,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Someone who is good with kids and who can really take on that father figure role for
Hmm.
them, and set good examples for them. I think someone who has, or I think he will have a lot of respect for you and for your family. And I think he'll also approach things with a lot of humor
That's so fun. You know what, Queen?
and be able to.
My sister, she was like,
Uh-huh.
I just see you with a big, a big like teddy bear guy that's just funny. That's just funny.
Yeah,
That's just charismatic
yeah,
and funny
kind
like that.
of.
And I was like, okay, I see
Hmm.
that. It's just sometimes it's like, don't be too funny because I'm funny already. So don't be too funny. Don't not take off my
Yeah,
shine.
and I think it'll also be someone who blends well with our
Yes,
friends.
that's a non-negotiable. That is a non-negotiable. Is if they do not mesh well with my friends, you know?
And I think for our friends specifically, it is so easy to get
Yeah.
along with
So if you're
everyone in our
not,
friend group. If yeah, if you can't get along with someone in our friend group, it is a red
yeah,
flag.
exactly.
Big
But you
time.
know, okay, this while you were talking, this is the guy that I imagined for Miss Kaelin. Okay, I feel like he's got to be funny, but you know, I don't know if you've ever met those guys that are just fucking hilarious, but they're just not that loud. I feel like he's gonna be like that, but I think that he needs to bring in that side of you that is just that girl who is a little bit more unhinged, but kind of keep like, yeah, that's my girl. She's just, oh, if whatever she wants to do, she jumps, I jump. You know, I think everybody should have a ride or die in a man, but I think that he needs to bring out that side of you. He needs to bring out that side of who we know who Kaelin is. You know, he needs to bring out that side.
Hmm.
I think that,
So the world can see.
yeah, I feel like the guys you dated in the past, they were really like so hush hush, like shh. You know, I don't know. I haven't met your other exes, but they're just not that like their personality is not that shiny. You know, like it's just,
The first one was.
oh, okay, okay. Do you feel like that took away anything from you because he was just so out there with his personality?
Um,
Did it make you more shy, more into your shell?
no. Yeah, I
Oh,
think it made me more shy because he was so out
mm-hmm.
there. But I think I was comfortable in that. I was comfortable in him being kind of the center of attention and me kind of just sitting over here, like, yeah, that's my man, you know? but, but I think now, you know, I'm kind of rediscovering who I am again. And I like feel like kind of as happy as I was in high school, you know, before everything
That's
bad
so
started
good.
happening. I feel like I'm getting back into that place.
Oh,
And like that one night when we went out and I called you the next day and I was like, that was the best
yeah.
night. That was the best night out that I have had. And I truly, genuinely had so much fun. I don't think I've ever danced as much as I did or sang as much as I did or was just so carefree. If that was me before, I would be sitting on the stool like,
Miserable. Oh no. Okay,
you
yeah,
know,
just kind
like
of
I don't
there.
know what to do. I don't know how to act. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's just like I don't care. I'm going to go out and I'm going to have a good time with my friends. Also, third time out, no panic attack.
Yes, we
We
love
are
that
making
queen.
progress. We are making progress. But yeah, I think, I genuinely think, and I always used to say this too, like if you knew me in high school before everything bad happened, I was a completely different
Mm.
person. Like I was the happiest person you would have ever met. I liked going up to people and striking up conversation with them. I would go up and give random people hugs. You know, I was just very carefree and naive, and for years I missed that part of myself and I was so afraid to let that side come back out.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just like, I don't care. I want to live the life I want to live.
You know what, Queen?
You
What's
know?
funny is that I really think that in this time in your life, you're just, like you said, you're carefree, right? And you're just not looking for a man's. It's fun to entertain sometimes, but it's never for real. But I really think, back to our men, okay? He's gonna be the complete opposite from what you've ever wanted. Truly, I think he's gonna be the complete opposite. Now that you're saying these things, I just think that instead of, him bringing out this out of you, yes, bring it out of you, but also compliment you. I've met couples where they just compliment each other so well that I think that this man who you're gonna be with is genuinely gonna be just the exact opposite of who you have, your usual type, you know? And I don't know, I'm calling it now. And you know what? I've always said I have a really strong intuition, and I called it here first, okay? Kaelin's next boyfriend, potentially husband, is going to be the exact opposite from what she's ever wanted. Yes.
Ooh.
What?
I said, ooh.
Yeah.
We'll check back in a year from now. Kat will be booed up.
You'll be booed up.
We'll see where I'm at.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Sorry, that kind of makes you cringe, does it not? Does it not make you cringe a little bit? You're like, ooh, a man? Ooh.
To think about being in a relationship.
Yeah, it makes me cringe a little
I
bit.
don't know. I am for sure a relationship girly. I know we've talked about this before. There are people out there who kind of date around, casually date, and then there are people out there who
Serial
only get into
daters.
long-term relationships. Yeah, I think for sure, me. I'm a long-term relationship girly, but I do I do have my
We're just, I can't, me and Kiana are just such the opposite people. Like, I cannot. I can't. Whoa. Love that for you, though.
but I do think okay, here's the thing. I think I am a relationship girly, but I also have my periods of time where I am single. So like my first relationships, granted, were semi back to back. But after that second relationship, I was single for a year, over a year, I think like a year and a half. And then now I'm just got out of this relationship and it's been almost a year now.
It's crazy. I thought it was just yesterday. And
Yeah.
also, I want to share, when Kaelin went through this breakup, y'all, I was just like, do you want me to come over? Do you need me to be at your house? I will be at your house. Just tell me when. This girl is like, no, I just want to be by myself. I'm like, are you sad? Don't go back. You know what I mean? But she was just like, no. She's so like, she needs her own little her time. Even though she is a relationship girly, she needs her time, and she means by it. She went through a breakup and was like that. I swear. But I don't know, Queen. Like, I'm just not. I've not been all throughout high school. My first boyfriend, I was 17, 18 years old. And then my relationship after that was years after he and I broke up. It takes me a really long time. And really, there's so many guys give me icks, and I want it to stop. I want it to stop. Even when like he does nice things, I'm like, ooh. It's also self-sabotage, I will say, because everything that I've been through, but it's just like, I get so many icks. I just don't see myself. I just really don't, but you never know. Will you see Kaelin and I boot up 2024 to 2025? Stay tuned.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
You'll see Kat boot up.
No, I really don't.
I have
think
no
so.
plans.
Same.
I think right now, I used to have a very clear picture in my head of what I wanted my future to look like, and I was always very dead set on it. And now I have no picture. I have no picture in my head. I am just letting life take a hold of the reins, and I am just going with the flow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still want to get married. I don't know if I still want to have kids. I don't know if I want to live on a farm.
That can change like in a couple of months or something,
I think I will always
okay.
want to live on a farm.
Okay,
That is my
one. The city girl wants to live on a farm.
Biggest dream. I know. I told my mom.
She was like, "Be for real."
It's like a farm.
Linda's like, "Be for real, bitch."
She knows me. She knows me too well. She was like, "Why not a ranch?" And I was like, "I just want a farm. Like, Please let me just live out my dream. I just want to farm.
But you know what? That's a
But
good
yeah,
image
I
to
don't
have,
know.
though, in your head. I don't think that, okay, if you have your career, whatever, if you have your what's motivating you is different from how you see your life. I think that it's good to see life for what it is right now versus trying to continuously paint that picture. That's what we talked about. What is life really worth living if you're constantly chasing after something that you are painting in your head? You just, once you
Mhm.
let go, and you let life take the reins and just live life how it unfolds when it does, that's how you live life, really. Because you're gonna spend the rest of
Mhm.
your life. You can die tomorrow. And then what? You're just over here wishing you did all this, and that, but you were too busy chasing something that maybe was not meant for you. Maybe chasing that
Mhm.
man that was probably not meant for you. Can you imagine? Dropping dead.
For
And
sure.
then you're just all things in life did not matter, but it's too late. I'm gonna start doing that. Let me stop picturing my life in a couple of years and just start picturing the now. But I don't know. I'm a mother, okay? That kind of thing is hard to happen, but I think that's a good one.
Yeah, that is true. You could picture a future for your kids and then live in the now for
Yeah,
you.
I gotta let it go by the hour. Well, that's dating and navigating dating in your 20s, in your later half of your 20s. Fingers crossed for all of us. If you are still listening, I have hope for you if you have not found your one or if you're with a one and you don't know if he is the one. I hope that there is still hope for you, Queen. And
And
yes,
also, I don't know if I made it up or if I saw it somewhere and I
inspired.
think I made
Yeah.
it up, but don't make your entire life about this one person who's only temporary. Let
Boom.
that resonate in your
Yes.
brains.
Yes. And also my mom always used to tell me, do not make permanent actions on temporary feelings, on temporary people. Okay? Because those things you cannot take back. That's where your self respect comes in. Okay? That's foundational to self respect. Okay? But I think that's a wrap on the final Love Club episode. Well, technically, there's still one more, but Love Club episode. Still having to find an intro and an outro song, but you know what? For right now, you only have me. How should we do it? I can't make up one.
Do a little jingle. Just make like a tune. A nice little like
Ooh,
jazzy tune.
ooh, ooh, yeah. Thank you guys for listening, and listen to us in our next episode. Bye.
That is a wrap on Love
Love
Club.
Club.